My boss humiliated me for years, thinking I'd never fight back. But when I finally exposed him, I didn't just get revenge, I got everything he tried to take from me. I remember my first day at Digital Wave Solutions like it was yesterday. Fresh out of college, nervous as hell, shirt ironed twice, shoes polished until they squeaked. I rehearsed my introduction in the bathroom mirror that morning like a total idiot. The office wasn't fancy. Rows of desks, buzzing fluorescent lights, and that eternal smell of burnt coffee mixed with printer ink. But to me, it felt like stepping into the big leagues. This was my shot. What I didn't know was that behind those glass doors waited a man who would make the next 3 years of my life hell. Marcus Thompson. Marcus was in his late 40s, clinging to whatever hair he had left, with that arrogant strut of someone who thought the sun rose just to shine on him. He wasn't just the manager, he was the tyrant of the office. And for some twisted reason, from day one, he chose me as his target. If the printer jammed, somehow it was my fault. If a client rejected a design I hadn't even touched, Marcus would pin it on me. He once spilled coffee on his own desk, turned red in the face, and shouted across the room, "Alex, if you can't handle basic office etiquette, maybe you should go back to school." But the worst part wasn't the false blame. It was that he always made it public. Marcus thrived on an audience. He'd plant himself in the center of the office, raise his voice, and make me his punching bag while everyone else pretended to stay glued to their monitors. The comments cut deep. "Alex, this is trash. Alex, are you actively trying to tank this company? Alex, even a kid could do better than this." At first, my coworkers shot me sympathetic glances. Jennifer from design would bite her lip, Carlos the programmer would shake his head, and Sandra from accounting gave me that "sorry, but I can't help you" look. But sympathy turned to silence. Then distance. Nobody wanted to be associated with the office scapegoat. That isolation stung more than Marcus's yelling. I went from eager rookie to office pariah in record time. Things hit rock bottom during our biggest campaign of the year. I poured everything into it. 12-hour days, weekends at the office, countless revisions. When Marcus reviewed it, he didn't just criticize, he annihilated me. "This?" he bellowed, throwing the folders onto my desk so hard papers scattered across the floor. "This is amateur garbage. My 12-year-old could do better with crayons." The silence in the office was suffocating. My ears burned. My chest tightened. I wanted to defend myself, but the words got stuck in my throat. And the cruelest twist? That exact same day, Marcus presented my campaign to the client as if it were his. Same slides, same notes. He didn't change a thing. The client loved it, called it fresh, innovative, brilliant. They shook his hand. Marcus smiled and soaked up the praise as if it were his idea. He didn't mention my name once. That night, I came home defeated. I didn't even turn on my laptop. Just sat there staring into nothing. My girlfriend Sarah walked in and froze when she saw me. "You okay?" she asked gently. I forced a laugh, but it came out hollow. "I don't know how much more of this I can take." "Then quit," she said firmly. "No job is worth this." But quitting meant starting over. Bills, rent, uncertainty. Fear kept me chained to that desk. I told her I'd stick it out. But inside, something cracked. After that, Marcus doubled down. He criticized every detail, no matter how small. Fonts, colors, a missing comma. He once berated me for an email he said lacked urgency. Even my coworkers started buying into his narrative. Jennifer stopped asking for my input. Carlos left me off project invites. Sandra avoided eye contact altogether. Marcus wasn't just tearing down my confidence, he was rewriting who I was in everyone else's eyes. And it worked. I started to believe I really was the office idiot. Until one night. It was past 9. The office was empty. At least I thought it was. I stayed late, buried in another urgent report Marcus had dropped on me at 5:55 p.m. Then I heard a voice. Low. Desperate. Coming from his office. The door was slightly ajar. I creeped closer. No, please. Marcus's voice was shaky. I'll have the money next week. Just give me time. My blood ran cold. I already sold the car. I sold the watch. I have nothing left. Please don't tell my ex-wife. If she finds out, I'll lose custody of my daughter. I backed away before he saw me, but my mind was racing. Marcus. The office tyrant, the man who strutted around like he owned the world, was drowning. The next day, I called my friend Miguel, who was basically a wizard with public records. Do me a favor. Look up Marcus Thompson. A few days later, Miguel called back. His tone was grave. Dude, your boss is screwed. Gambling debts, multiple lawsuits for unpaid loans. His ex is using all of it against him in court. He's one step away from losing everything. I just sat there, phone pressed to my ear. So that was it. Marcus wasn't destroying me because I was incompetent. He was destroying me because he was falling apart, and I was the easiest punching bag. For the first time in years, I felt power. Not much, but enough to stay standing. I didn't strike right away. I waited, watched. Let him keep piling on, knowing he was one slip away from losing control. And that slip came sooner than I expected. Marcus called me into his office a week later. He said, Alex, I don't think this role is a good fit for you. Maybe it's time you start looking for other opportunities. That old familiar knot tightened in my chest. The humiliation, the rage. But then I remembered. I leaned forward and locked eyes with him. Does this have anything to do with your personal situation? He frowned. What are you talking about? The debts. The custody battle. The loans. For the first time since I met him, Marcus went pale. I held his gaze. I'm not here to blackmail you. I just want you to stop treating me like trash. That's all. He stammered, denied it, tried to raise his voice like usual, but he knew. He knew I'd seen behind the mask. From that day forward, the public screaming stopped. The humiliation tapered. He wasn't kind, but he wasn't a tyrant anymore. And my coworkers noticed. Jennifer started asking for my input again. Carlos looped me back into projects. Sandra even invited me to lunch. Marcus didn't know it, but the power he'd stolen from me, I was taking it back. A month later, another big campaign wrapped. Marcus strutted into the presentation, ready to steal credit like always. But when the client asked, "Who led this project?" he froze. His eyes darted to me, and for the first time, instead of stealing the spotlight, he muttered, "Alex handled it." The client turned, smiling. "Excellent work, Alex." The look on Marcus's face was worth every sleepless night. The news spread like wildfire. My coworkers congratulated me, one after another. Jennifer whispered, "We always knew you were good, but seeing him admit it, that was something else." The following Monday, HR called me in. They'd reviewed surveys, client feedback, performance reports. They said, "Alex, we'd like to promote you to senior account manager." With a raise, of course. When they announced it in front of the office, the applause was thunderous. And Marcus? He sat there red-faced, clapping slowly because he had no choice. And me? I got promoted, with a raise, with recognition. My coworkers, who once doubted me, now treated me with respect. I wasn't the scapegoat anymore. I was the guy who stood up to the tyrant and won. But the real reward wasn't the title. It wasn't the salary bump. The real reward was that moment, the moment I found my voice again. After years of letting him steal my confidence, my dignity, my self-worth, I finally put him in his place. Marcus tried to destroy me. Instead, I exposed him. And God, it felt good.